Hi guys, and welcome back to A Girl Talks Formula One's podcast. For today's guest, we have not only a Formula 3 driver, but also Formula 2. With us, Italian talent Matteo Nannini. Started karting since he was really young and has motorsports in his genes. He has escalated quite quickly from Formula 4 to Formula 3 and competing at the same time in Formula 2. Ready to hear more about his journey? In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of A Girl Talks Formula One. Today I have a really important guest for you, which we've been wanting to interview for a while, but we're gonna start this interview a little bit differently. I'm gonna be having two guests with me, a comeback Bea Samuner with us, and Formula 2 and Formula 3 driver Matteo Nannini. How are you guys? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome back, Bea.
Thank you, Manena. Thank you so much. It's good to see you again.
So nice. Ciao, Matteo. ¿Cómo estás?
Hi everyone. Thank you. Yeah, all good. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, Matteo, so before we start with the interview, tell us how many languages you speak, because you speak quite a few, right?
I mean, of course, Italian, English, and I studied Spanish quite a lot when I was a bit younger, like for 2-3 years. Yeah, I mean, I speak also Spanish, but not as good as English or Italian because I don't have the opportunity to speak it because like in the paddock I speak English or it's the most common used language. So yeah.
Well, you can speak in Spanish with me anytime. And as if the name didn't already give out his nationality, Matteo, of course, is from Italy, and he started racing quite young. You were around 7 years old when you started racing, right?
Yeah, it was let's say quite a special case because when I was younger, I tried many different sports such as like football, basketball, but I never think about racing. Even if I really enjoy the toys of cars or watching Formula One or whatever. And I had the chance to try a little go-kart, rental one. And once I tried it, yeah, like I fall in love with it, and I took that kart. My daddy bought it, and that was the beginning of everything.
That's so nice. And before we start getting a little bit more into your career, I want to know how you and Bea actually started working together.
That case was, if I'm not wrong, random because we met in Barcelona for
Yeah.
the F1 test because it was snowing. I don't know which year was that. I don't remember.
2018.
And yeah, and we met there, and that was where the journey started.
Anything to add, Bea, to the little story?
Yeah, actually, before that, I actually was on Facebook, and Graziana, which is someone who actually is in Matteo's entourage, reached out to me, and we decided through her to meet in Barcelona. So it was the beginning. We were at the Williams Hospitality, and then I just started working remotely for Matteo, and then we just got on with the journey.
That's so awesome, because I remember when I first interviewed you, it was still kind of the beginning for you and Matteo, right? Because I think I interviewed you almost a year ago. It's been so crazy how time has flown by. It's been so long already.
Yeah, it's been a very intense season. It was before the actual beginning of this super season we have lived and we have endured with COVID and many things happening.
So tell us, how has COVID affected both of you in your career?
Well, actually, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I've been traveling, not as much as I would have liked to, but still I got to do my stuff, even though international traveling, it's been limited for obvious reasons, but hopefully in 2022, everything will be back to normal.
Right. And for you, Matteo, how has COVID impacted your career as a driver?
Yeah, let's say that on the school side, luckily I had the COVID because with that, I'm able to manage much better, let's say, my studies and school because I can follow the classes also remotely. Like if I'm somewhere else than at school, I can anyway follow the lesson by my laptop. On the racing side, instead, it was mainly about last year, so 2020, where the season was all together. Basically, every weekend we were having a race. I didn't really like it, obviously, because I couldn't enjoy properly a full season. Because from a full season, it became like only 2 months of racing, and that's over. And on the other side, it was much better for my experience, because for sure being in a racing car every weekend is much more helpful than racing once a month or once every 2 months, like this year. Obviously, it was like all the F1 paddock and F3, and same as F2, all a big bubble, so we couldn't really have a lot of possibility to speak maybe with fans or whatever. And that was the real big pity for me, because racing in a circuit where I could see all empty grandstands and whatever was not really enjoyable.
That's so true, because I feel fans are a big part of motorsports. They're pretty much what hype everything up. I mean, I feel the energy, the screaming and all the voices and all the partying. I feel that's super important to give motorsports a slightly bit more touch of adrenaline. But what you said is so true. School-wise, it was so convenient for you to have it online, because this season you were actually in 2 seasons, right? Formula 3 and Formula 2. How did you
Yes.
manage to balance all of that?
Yeah, so at the beginning, the plan was even not to race with HWA. But once I went there, let's say they proposed me to do this new program, so race in both categories, which was not really allowed. But with them, we got, let's say, a sort of special license by the FIA to make me race in both championship in the same year, which I mean, I will be the only one, because already from next year the format will be the same as the previous one. So F2 and F3 same weekend, so this will not be possible anymore. Yeah, apart from that, for sure, I was really happy with that opportunity, because my experience grown a lot, because I would have more or less a double of the experience, because double of races, double of practices. Then with HRB, I had to stop, and I had the possibility from campus to race with them, because they also lost one driver. Yeah, I was really grateful for that. Yeah, but anyway, it was even not that stressful physically, because the races were quite far. I mean, were not every weekend, but there was a lot of time between every race. That now, for example, F2, they did the race in Sochi with us in F3, and the next race is in 2 months in December, which is quite a lot far. Actually, this season for me was a bit too short, because I didn't. I'm not really tired of it, and I would have liked to continue it until the end of the year. The season for F3 at least is already over.
Yeah,
And now
true.
I'll see what I will do next year.
So you would have wanted more races. You're not tired yet. That's so funny. But your career is actually growing really fast, because you joined Formula 4 in 2019, right? In the UAE Formula 4, and you actually won that title. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct.
How
Yeah,
has that journey been for you? Because you've grown really fast.
obviously, my goal as a racing driver is to become an F1 driver, Formula 1 driver. Also, because if we see, let's say, at the nationality where I'm from, the main nationality, so Italian, there are not a lot of Italians in F1. So that's my
True.
goal, to be there as Italian. Even if I would say that for us is a bit more difficult, because in Italy, I can't say. I have to say the truth, it's a bit difficult for us as Italian driver even to continue racing, because as we know, up to now this sport is becoming a bit of business, and it's very important to have the full budget to be able to have a good car, and to be able to show what you can do, because even if you are not in one of those top teams, it's very difficult to get the result you want, and so to achieve your dream. But anyway, I'm really pushing up for that. It was let's say quite short up to now, my career. 2019, as you said, we did the Formula 4, and in the same year the plan was to do the Italian Formula 4, but I changed it, and I did some races in regional and in Renault. Then I moved to the FIA F3 with the Answer Motorsport, which was up to say maybe, I would say, not that bad, because with the experience I had, I didn't expect even to score, let's say, even if not a lot of good results, like in Barcelona, where I scored a third podium race too. This year, I mean, was not really happy about the result I got, because for sure my ambition was to finish higher in the championship, but from the middle of the season we had some issues also from the team side. Was obvious because we changed the team manager quite a lot. Changing 3 team managers in like 2 months is means that there is something wrong inside. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure that with this year especially, I show what I can do if I have a good car, and I'm really happy for that because anyway, I receive a lot of calls from different teams that they would like to have me the next season for F2 or F3 or whatever, and this is very cool. I mean, from me because I mean, they say that I'm a good driver, and that's the most important thing at the end.
And you are a really good driver. I mean, your career has grown so much. Just a little pause between that. In 2012, you actually were on the podium every single race on Champion Card, and you finished on 3rd place on that category.
Yeah, it's correct.
Finishing on the podium every single race, you have to be a good driver, of course. And what you said about Formula One becoming a business is actually quite true. I mean, a lot of drivers have actually stated that. For example, Nick De Vries this season, he had so much big expectations about joining Formula One, and he said it himself, something similar to what you said. He doesn't want to join Formula One just to join. He wants to join to actually win. Do you think the same way as him regarding Formula One?
Yeah, I think the same because I mean, yeah, for sure, being an F1 driver can have his positive things, but also being always there in the back and yeah, maybe being in front of your teammate, it doesn't really have a lot of sense at the end. It depends, obviously, if you then stay there, but you have the possibility to grow and to go to a better team. That could have sense. But to now, it's you need to have, as we say always with my dad, you need to be a good driver. You need to have the good persons behind that can push you politically inside, and you need to have the budget full covered, so by sponsors or your family or whatever. And these are the 3 main points that you need to reach that Formula One.
That's so true. I think motorsports is from the biggest, environments that need to have such an important team behind, especially since it's kind of a lonely sport in the sense that you're always traveling on your own. I feel your team eventually ends up becoming your family.
Yeah, it's like this because if you think like there are thousands of drivers all around the world that want to reach Formula One, and to do that you need to be the best of these thousands of people, and to be the best you need to have everything perfect, from the budget, from the persons around, from the team. Otherwise, they will pass you.
So true. And speaking of Formula One, tell us, who is your favorite driver this season?
I really like the young drivers, like as we saw Norris or Verstappen. There are a lot of good drivers, I would say. I don't really have one that I prefer to another. To now, until the end, the last race, F1 for me became a bit more cool, no? To watch. I mean, there is more emotion. Yeah, exactly. Then, if you think like 1 year ago, 2 years ago, I mean, after the start, then the race, they were quite boring. I mean, me, I was falling asleep. Instead, now it's much better. Like the race in Sochi, for me, was really fun. Maybe this is also due to the weather forecast that is changing everything. I don't know if with the sun it would have been the same, but anyway, yeah, I really like that.
I mean, I think with the sun, Lando Norris would have gotten his first victory, which is something I believe we all wanted to see. But yes, Sochi is normally not the most exciting circuit. And this season, it's so hard to choose your favorite Grand Prix because every single Grand Prix has had something special happening. I mean, Sochi was just crazy. All the results were unpredictable. And what you said, previous seasons behind, the results were always so predictable. We always knew who was going to win, Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. So this season, do you really think that Max Verstappen can take away that title from Lewis Hamilton?
I don't think so, but
no way.
I don't know. Because if we see also previously from half of the season and soon, Hamilton was always having something more compared to all the others, and he was always coming back to the championship. I don't know. Also looking forward at the new cars, I don't know who is gonna win the championship. It depends because also like Verstappen was starting last and arrived seconds, and this changed a lot also on the Hamilton what we was thinking. Or if you arrive first and he arrived 10th, and Yeah.
That's so true. And I mean, there's still quite a few races left for the season, and Max Verstappen is only 2 points behind from Lewis Hamilton. So anything can happen. I mean, team wise, I felt that everybody thought Red Bull was going to win this season. But as the results are going so far, I don't really think they're going to win constructors. But in my opinion, I think Max still has a great possibility of becoming the world champion. So, I mean, only time will tell. But if you can tell us, if you have any, who has been your favorite driver of all time? Of course, I am asking this in reference to the Michael Schumacher documentary. I don't know if you already watched it.
No, I didn't watch it, but I would say that maybe I would say Hamilton, even if let's say that up to now he always had maybe the best car, no, because otherwise with the best driver need the best car. Yeah, I would say him anyway because I really like his, not sometimes, but I really like also what he plays like on the team radio that like, oh, I have an issue, just to let the other team knows that he's having an issue. Instead, it's not real, but just to let the lose a bit their mind. And yeah, it's funny also that, and it's really intelligent as a driver to do that for me.
That's actually true. I mean, he is the king of mind games, and I feel mind games are a little bit necessary in the world of motorsports, which is so funny because Mercedes and Red Bull have such a different driving style. Mercedes is all about mind games, and Red Bull is all about going for it. They have such an aggressive driving style, which I believe is what makes them actually be competing with Mercedes this season. Even though, well, in my case, I'm a Mexican and I was supporting Checo Perez so much this season, but I don't think he's really performing the best. Every single race, something happens to him that he ends up in a low position. Have you followed his career before?
Yeah, but I don't think he has the same car as his teammate. That's also the reason why. Maybe also he has to race against maybe, let's say, one of the best future world champion. It's like Hamilton and Bottas. Hamilton is always far in front of Bottas, and like in those teams, if there is something better, like also a part of a rear wing or whatever, they put it to the driver number one, no? Not to the driver number two. And that's also helpful, that driver, let's say.
That's actually really true. I mean, you said the key word. I feel that in these two big teams, driver number two always tends to have a different car than driver number one. But I've noticed that this kind of unbalance in teams has only happened in the big teams. I mean, we see Ferrari, there's no really driver number one, even though it should be Charles Leclerc. We have Carlos and Charles at the same level, Lando and Daniel at the same level. It's like as if every team had equal drivers except for Mercedes and Red Bull. In Checo's case, he knows he comes here as a defense and he's completing his role, let's say. But now that Valtteri Bottas is leaving, it's as if he's rebelling against Mercedes and he's proving to the world the real driver he's capable of being. What do you think about this?
I think that Bottas in Alfa Romeo won't do that much. I mean, he will do the same as Raikkonen and Giovinazzi now, but not because it's not good, but just because the car is like that. I mean, it's obvious. Maybe they will develop and they will grow as McLaren did with Norris, but in 2 or 3 years' time. I mean, I would be really surprised if Bottas will win one race next year with Alfa Romeo.
That is so true. So true. So, Matteo, my previous guest actually has a question for you. He's a race control director in NASCAR. So, the question my interview has for you is:
¿Cuál sería el consejo que le daría a los jóvenes para llegar a hacer lo que él está haciendo? ¿Y qué es lo que para él le ha representado este crecimiento que está teniendo a su edad?
What advice would you give all the young drivers that are starting, and how has this influenced your life at such a young age? What has this represented for you?
Yeah, I think anyway, I mean, I'm coming from a family of racing drivers more or less because, yeah, my auntie was racing, my daddy racing karting. Maybe that's something I had already in my blood when I started, because yeah, it was quite a unique feeling when I tried this little go-kart for the first time. Yeah, maybe it was also the other thing where I was good at, because football and basketball I was really bad. Instead, from the outside, it looked like I was much better at driving a little go-kart. I am continuing just because of my passion to this world, and I really like Formula One, but all the racing cars, I really like them. also road cars. I mean, I want to make this passion my job for
Of
when I
course.
will be older.
And what advice would you give to the young drivers that are just starting?
My dad and my family, they give me a lot of advices to continue my career and also to avoid the mistakes that maybe they've done in their careers, because that is the most important thing, to avoid the mistakes that they did and to be better prepared, no, for what the future will bring.
So basically to avoid mistakes and to learn from mistakes, is that right?
Yeah, that's the key, I would say.
But this season, Matteo, you actually got your first victory with Formula 3. I mean, I shared the news everywhere. Honestly, I was so excited for you. How did this make you feel? What did this change in your career?
Yeah, I think I mean, it was really happy because I went in that moment already really close to the victory twice in Barcelona. And so in the first round and in Red Bull, but then I had to retire just quite a few laps to the end of the race, which is quite frustrating because I mean,
Right.
you are leading for a while and then you lose the possibility to get even a podium at just a couple of corners to the end. And that victory, I think that, I mean, the main difference was that I was able to pull a big gap from the car behind, and so to manage the tires for the whole race. And yeah, it was really cool also because I think that in that race, especially that I was starting P3 and almost already in turn one, I was P1. I showed to the people outside that, let's say, what type of driver I am and what I can do. So yeah, it was really a good moment.
Of course, I can imagine. And I mean, speaking about you being Italian, motorsports being in your family, I feel that people normally relate motorsports to Italy. I feel that, for example, Americans relate basketball to their country, Mexicans, soccer, but whenever you tell me motorsports, I think of Ferrari, I think of Italy, I think of all of those things.
Yeah.
Italy plays such a big role in motorsports. So I do agree with you. I would love to see another Italian in Formula One, especially
Yes.
if that Italian is you, of course.
Yeah.
So, Matteo, before we finish today's interview, even though I don't want to leave, it's been so great talking to you. I want you to tell me one thing. This is a question I love asking all of my guests before we leave the interview. What do you think about W Series? Do you think that they created this competition for women to reach Formula One eventually, or to segregate it because it's becoming such a strong category?
Yeah, I think on one end, let's say that is good because let's say women they race together instead of racing against men. Let's say because if you race against a man, you can say like physically it's not the same thing because
Of course.
if the car is hard to drive for us, it's easier to handle it. I think that for sure it can help you a lot, but also in that case, I think that you need to have then the right connection to those F1 teams like Chadwick had already,
Right.
because otherwise, yeah, for sure you will become more famous, popular. I think also they give a lot of prize. If you win, you win money also at the end of the year, which is the unique thing because it's the only championship where up to now you win money, let's say at the
Okay.
end of the year, and this is really helpful also to continue your journey. It depends also on the driver itself. I mean, so if it's that good, for sure she will have her possibility to show it, hopefully even in Formula One.
Do you think a woman has the opportunity of coming back to Formula One soon?
Up to now, I don't know because as we have seen every year, there are not a lot of seats available.
Right.
Like maybe in a couple of years when the older drivers they will retire, there will be the chance to add more drivers, because
That's so
otherwise
true.
if there is just one or two seats available per year, it's I think it's more difficult.
That is so true. And if a woman were to join Formula One, who do you think it would be?
I mean, I would take obviously as a team F1 will do the winner of the W Series championship.
Right.
Championship. I mean, the champion. It is as this should be, so the champion can make the step into Formula One. I wouldn't
Definitely.
take another one.
That's a really smart answer, actually, because you didn't tell me
Yeah.
a specific driver. You were like, the champion. That's so nice. That's such a great answer. Very well thought. And this season, Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell are really fighting for the championship. So let's see if Jamie Chadwick can take her second championship with W Series. and eventually see a woman in Formula One. So thank you so much, Matteo, for joining A Girl Talks Formula One today. It was such an honor having you, and it's so nice seeing you grow day by day. Let's hope that you will be the next Italian in Formula One.
Yeah,
And
hopefully.
grazie mille.
Yeah,
Grazie
thank you so
mille.
much. It was really cool to spend, say, half an hour with you, and yeah, and thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for joining the podcast today. We're reaching all the way to the end of the interview, and see you again in 2 weeks on another episode of A Girl Talks Formula One. Ciao.
Bye bye, guys. Ciao.